Welcome back to the Complete History of Deadzone series. Today is a long-awaited episode for the topic that I personally am very excited to tell you guys about: the building. Since the original Deadzone was released at the end of 2012, there's always been a way of building bases in each iteration of the game with various fortifications, albeit with very limited ability and variety in building possibility. Yet, some of the most impressive bases have been built like this, and not only that, they were usually built while defending from invasion attempts by other players. But along with beautiful bases has also come the spoils of anarchy. With complete freedom, players have always been able to build any signs and symbols they please. On Roblox. Yikes. Today I'm going to take you through the evolution of building in Deadzone and how it's turned from building simple bases to absolute art projects. With how limiting Deadzone is with possibilities for building, it's forced players to get more creative. They figured out very obscure techniques to create what was envisioned, and today, crazy builds have been made from these techniques. So let's start from the beginning. Not very much has been documented from the original game, but it did have the same building system as today, with likely just as little things to build with as Deadzone Classic, minus maybe the landmine. These basic materials consist of sandbags, planks, and girders, and there is little to no footage of anyone building in the original game. But in Deadzone Remade, there in fact is. Deadzone Remade introduced a large number of new building materials and a fan favorite item, flares, which came in a variety of colors and allowed for a lot more fun when building. These same materials then led into the game DayZ, and some pretty large bases were built and defended, one of which I remember personally seeing on YouTube where a group turned the castle into a massive base. Unfortunately, I can't find this video on YouTube anymore, so if anyone has any information or footage of the old DayZ builds, please let me know in the comments section. Then comes Deadzone Classic. Over the past 6 years, the community has figured out a large number of various techniques to use, and with them, has made projects that still baffle me looking back. So let's go through each of these projects in chronological order, shall we? The first documentation of a massive project was Glory 366K Burden's Bridge to the Safe Zone on April 15th of 2021. Glory built the bridge almost completely on his own and had to utilize multiple innovative techniques at the time, like placing girders above the air with no green outline and placing sandbags while falling. For the first time, this was completely unheard of and instantly cemented him in Deadzone history. Just a couple of months later, after joining TTK, Glory, myself, Artemis, and Heaven Crystal made another bridge, but this time, we took a car to the safe zone. To this day, this is likely the most monumental feat ever achieved in Deadzone history. The amount of things that have to go right in such a short amount of time for a car to make it to the safe zone is nothing short of insane. Less than a month later, TTK hosted the largest collaboration in Deadzone's history, which still has not been topped in all these years. This was, of course, the 3000 landmine explosion. Each one of these players contributed to the pile of landmines, and in the end...
Alright. Glory, you're gonna want to back up a lot. Glory, you're gonna want to back up a lot, okay?
Yo, let me get on top of a car as well, too.
Alright, 3.
Wait, no, you tripping, wait.
Oh, you're gonna
there goes Glory!
Too? Oh shit, it's gonna be really slow.
Holy shit!
Oh no!
We crashed the server. This event is actually the first video on my channel, and even though it's not much of a build, it's still a very major event in Deadzone history, and it's part of the reason why you can't place mines on top of each other anymore in Deadzone Classic. That same month, TTK built the largest public server built base recorded at the time on the Camel Cliffs. A few months later from that, when TTK started dying out and I started the Minamoto clan, I decided a good project to engage more players with the game would be to build another bridge, and this time take multiple cars to the safe zone. I was building that bridge all night, unironically, but now we have this one-of-a-kind footage from a time when Deadzone was very close to dying, and with no PvPers playing, it left a space for builders to create anything in a public server without needing to worry too much about being raided and griefed. So, Minamoto built a base, and another base, and another one. And in mid-January of 2022, some of the old TTK members and the Minamoto clan came together to break the record for the largest public server built base in Deadzone history once again. Major figures like Cinematic and Glory were involved in the building process, and I still look back so fondly on this base because it was the last major project that was worked on by the old players before the game fully died out and then was revived again when Alpha released the next update, beginning the third generation. The second update naturally made most players gravitate towards PvP rather than anything else because of the newly instated moderation team and the fact making a large-scale base was now way more difficult because of the spike in population, so not many bases were being built, except for the base built by the Maruo clan, as seen here. When I eventually returned to Deadzone after my hiatus, I built a bridge to Safe Zone again, and took cars there for the third time in Deadzone history. But what a lot of you may not know about this accomplishment is that this was actually the first time this feat was done without the help of any hacks, which in reality just meant I needed to spend a lot of extra time placing sandbags in the middle of the air, but I doubt anyone will ever be able to do this again. It was painful. Almost exactly a month later, I built this base, which was not the biggest, but the first edition of a helix built in Deadzone. About 4 months later, me and Snowy came together to build the record for the biggest base ever built in Deadzone history. We built it on a private server, but it still is impressive nonetheless. But less than a month later, that record was broken by a lot.
Barbecue chicken alert! Barbecue chicken alert!
The devil my eye, can't pay me to stop. My God at the top. We gon' praise our way out the grave, dog. We can speak and praise God. We can out the graveyard back to life. I serve, follow your word.
Myself, Duster, Roshan, Deadzone Z2, Area, Hale, Panarno, and Artemis all contributed to the construction of the pyramid over the course of only 30 hours. This was the most mentally draining build I have ever made, but we did it, and it's a hell of a spectacle. But there's one more base that was built, one that I never made a video on because it was never finished due to a server shutdown earlier than expected. The Purifier Sanctuary, built by MindPL, myself, Arthur, Deadzone Z2, Hale, Vruv, and Modify. Even though this wasn't the biggest base ever made, it was the biggest public server base built near the edge of the map to stay hidden. With it being a public server base, it was subject to grief attempts, and the first build made primarily by mine was subject to grief by multiple big PvPers. But the second attempt successfully avoided griefing. So I bring to you the lost tapes.
This guy falls for anything.
We are working at maximum efficiency. There's 5 of us all building.
I just lost my dog.
Good job, everybody. Hell yeah. Let's do it. Come on, everybody line up together. We're gonna do it all at the same time.
But
It'll be like the Mario. Here, everybody line up with me, and we're gonna do a Mario Party race. For the big bases, that's it. There's been so many more bases that have been built over the years that just haven't been documented, so I want to give credit to the community of builders that create something powerful in the midst of anarchy. One more thing I want to mention is one last bridge that has been built to the safe zone. It was built by Static, Walter, and Arthur, and although they didn't take a car there, this was the only safe zone bridge built without any clan help since Glory had built the first one, and that is quite an accomplishment. I also want to give credit to the builders who built up to the safe zone in Deadzone Remade. I don't have names or footage of that event, but I saw it with my own eyes, and I want to tell you all about it too. Yes, builders in Deadzone Remade also built to the safe zone, and it may not have been as mentally draining or long of a task as it is in Deadzone Classic, but that is an impressive feat for sure. So that's it. The history of building in Anarchy. The techniques and mechanics are so underground that it's hard to really get a grip of how to build something like this, and therefore there hasn't been much to report lately. So if you guys want a tutorial on how to be the next great builder in Deadzone, let me know. Anyways guys, I will see you all in the next video. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the complete history of Deadzone, and I'm excited to continue this series with you all. Peace.